What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Court of Lore. We are excited to have you here. We have got a full episode for you today. We're going to be talking about some box office blue stuff, Superman, Fantastic Four. We're going to get a little bit broader on that, and we're going to discuss a little bit of the superhero fatigue stuff that people seem to be talking about. They're sort of revisiting this notion of superhero fatigue. Want to get into that, and we're also going to be talking about Brand New Day, what's happening on the Spider-Man set. A Brand New Day. We've seen Daniel Destin Creighton out there with Tom Holland. We've seen the new suit. We want to talk about the new suit. We've seen tanks. We've seen all kinds of cool stuff. John Bernthal apparently just wrapped on the Punisher special, so maybe we'll get into some of that. But yeah, let's get into it. So, Rich,
Yo,
welcome. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well, man. I'm excited to be back for another episode after our killer Superman review and our killer Fantastic Four review. If you guys haven't seen that, well, our Fantastic Four review isn't up yet, but we just put our Superman review up today, so be sure to check that out. Yeah, man. So, with the numbers coming in on Fantastic Four and the numbers coming in on Superman, there's a lot of people sort of ringing the doomsday bell, ringing the doomsday clock. I'm not trying to be punny here, but there's a lot of people talking about like whether this is it for comic book movies. Is this the signal that the market has completely shifted? Is it are we headed for another, are we going, like, like, are comic book movies going away? That's what basically people are sort of debating right now. Want to get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's relegated just to comic books. I think just movie box office numbers in general are soft
Right.
for 2025 so far.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reasons for that, which I'm sure we'll get into. But just talking about specifically Superman and Fantastic Four, Superman's second week at the box office only dropped about 50 something percent, which is normal. I wouldn't say that that's alarming, but Fantastic Four's drop was surprising to me. To drop, I think it dropped 66% in the second week, which is
Yeah.
that's bad. Like anything in the 60s is bad. So, but that was a really good movie. Thunderbolts had the same problem. I mean, it was a well received movie by critics. Just nobody went to go see it, me included. I didn't go see it in the theaters. And part of that could be superhero fatigue. Is superhero movies going the way of the western? Right? I mean, westerns were super popular back in the day, and you get saturated with them, and they shifted. I mean, I like a good western every now and then, but you don't see them obviously as often. But I think for me, I would say I don't have. Well, I mean, I don't have superhero fatigue. I think I just have changed the way I've seen movies.
Okay.
There's so many things going on. Like COVID completely changed my movie seeing habits. Before COVID, I was going to the movies at least twice, three times a month just to see the next cool thing. But when COVID happened, things changed. I mean, they did the day and date release with streaming, and now things are coming out to streaming sooner, like 90 days. Things are out on streaming. So I didn't see Thunderbolts, and I wasn't mad about that, right? Because it's going to be out on Disney Plus in maybe a month. I don't know the date exactly, but I heard September.
Yep.
So and it was just out in May. So that's a pretty quick turnaround. And I don't have a stellar, TV sound system at the house. I have a 25-year-old, LG that's a dumb TV. It's not a smart TV. I have like a 25-year-old Bose sound system. So I'm not running top of the line gear, but the way I'm seeing movies have changed. I've seen two movies in 2025, and it was Superman and Fantastic Four, and that was it. Haven't seen anything new or original. And that's another thing I think a lot of people are doing with the box office is they're afraid to go see new movies unless it's existing IP. So there's a lot that's going on with these numbers. Just the movie going habits of everybody has changed, and I'm speaking just from a normal run of the mill fan. I don't dig into box office numbers all that much, but I know if I'm changing my movie habits, chances are I'm probably in the median of the norm of people that have changed their movie going habits. I mean, me and my wife going to a Saturday matinee is almost like $40 now with with drinks and snacks, and it's like it's a good chunk of change, and people are afraid to
Yeah,
part with that kind of money in today's, environment, and be disappointed when they can just wait a few months and it'll be out on streaming. So I think it's
100%.
more than superhero fatigue. I just think it's just changing habits of the movie going public.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. The 66% thing was definitely disappointing for Fantastic Four. I did find it a little bit alarming. Um, Also, there's this narrative that's around the Superman movie where have you seen this? It's this overwhelming, unprecedented promotion of domestic box office numbers
Yeah.
with Superman.
It's
Like
spin. It's spin.
it's constant. It's
Yeah.
constant, right? It's almost like they're just trying to distract you from the fact that it's not doing well overseas or it's not doing well in other markets. They're just singing about the domestic thing. And to me, it just seems like there's a there's a group, there's a subset either within WB or even like and definitely in the fan base where they are doing whatever they can to differentiate themselves from Man of Steel and
Oh
from
yeah.
anything that Zack Snyder did,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, listen, we don't want to talk about the fact that we haven't beat Man of Steel. How do we get around that? Oh, okay. We can highlight the domestic box office numbers. Let's do that. Let's beat that like a dead horse because that's exactly what's happening is they're beating that like a dead horse. Like it's just constant, man. It's constant. And going back to what you were saying about the habits of the movie going public. Now, I haven't had a chance to mention this on an episode yet, but Court of Lore in my studio, our parent company, Frankenstory Studios, we're actually working on a documentary where I've sort of mapped the entire phenomena over the last 10 years with Hollywood. And yeah, it has to do with COVID and it has to do with the change in habits that happened as we came back to, normalcy. But there's so much more there. Like there's so much more there. It's multifactorial. And it probably, like I said, spans about 10 years. And it involves everybody. It involves the fans, it involves commentators, it involves the studios, obviously. It involves the media, like the access press and the commentator press. Like it is insane. It's crazy how like how wildly this got out of control. So I'll touch on a few things that we have within our theoretical sort of framework for this documentary,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to give away the whole picture, obviously.
Right.
But the COVID thing is definitely a part of that because I feel like before COVID, comic book movies and a lot of different franchise type of movies were they were events. They were cultural events,
Yep.
right? You couldn't miss out on it because if you did miss out on it, you wouldn't be part of the next conversation that happened at the coffee shop, at the bar, at the pool hall, at the gym, whatever, right? Like everybody wanted to be a part of that conversation. And Marvel did a great job of sort of normalizing fan culture.
Hmm.
They did this fantastic job of normalizing fan culture where it wasn't just about guys like us. It wasn't just about comic book readers and comic book fans and just diehard nerds. There was a fan base that sat a little bit lower than us as far as knowledge and familiarity with the canon and the culture, but they were still fans and they were still committed and they were still going to every freaking movie because it was like, when they did the first three phases, it was like you're putting a new piece of puzzle in every time you went.
Yeah.
Like you go home and you'd be like, okay, what happened in this? Okay, this happened here. This happened here. Okay, so it's got to mean that in this movie, this is going to happen. Like it was just, it was fun. It was interactive, right? It was fun and it was interactive. And we've lost that. We've lost that. And I don't know whether it was COVID that did it or whether it was something else that did it, but that's something that definitely went away. And we've never been able to get it back. The
Yeah.
casual, I think the casual audience is gone.
Yeah.
I don't think they're coming back. I think the casual audience is gone, and the people that are left over are the hardcore people that, this has become a big part of who they are, became a big part of their identity. these parasocial relationships. Again, that's something else I want to talk about at some point too, because that's getting scary. That's getting really weird for me. Um, but yeah, these it's just become a big part of people's existence and cultural experience and their friend groups too. Like, you know, I think one of the things that we don't culturally talk enough about as a society is the way that friendships have changed for younger people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me and you, we have friends that we've had since school, right?
Yep.
Like high school, 20 years, right? And we can talk to them about anything. We can say the craziest shit in front of them, and they're not going to ostracize us and be like, fuck off. Like, we don't want to hang out with you anymore, right?
Right, right.
But in the context of an online friendship, a strictly online friendship, it's so easy just to dismiss somebody because they don't share your opinion on something. And I can see kids, especially the way that they react online to discourse, I can see them ostracizing their friends because they don't agree with, someone's take on Wanda Maximoff or, Peter Parker or whatever. I could see that definitely happening. Like, hey, you don't agree with us that, Wanda was was 100% the victim in WandaVision. Well, you can't be a part of our friend group anymore. You're off our Discord. We don't want to talk to you anymore. And for some kids, that's all they got. That's all they got, right? So I've kind of gone off on a little bit of a tangent here, but let me bring it back to kind of the movie and the cultural thing. But my point was that these films built up these cultural ecosystems, right? These sort of ecosystems where we kind of all existed together and it was very communal, and that's gone. Like, that's definitely gone now. And the discourse has certainly shifted along with that, where it's become a lot more combative,
Tribal.
a lot more tribal, right? And it's the fun's being kind of sucked out of it, if I'm being honest, a little bit. Like, it's definitely not as fun as it used to be as far as the entire experience goes. So I can see why casual fans are abandoning it. But what I think happened was this. Let me kind of put this in as simplest terms I can. When we took that COVID break, right? The casual fans that were committed to phase 1, 2, and 3 of Marvel, they love those movies, right? So we get hit with phase 4 and we get hit with phase 4, like middle of phase 4 when COVID hits,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's literally the beginning of it, right? Black Widow, right?
Yeah. Black Widow was the first one in phase 4.
Yeah. So first project out of phase 4,
and it was a day and date
we're
release.
all stuck at home.
Yeah.
We're all stuck at home, right?
Yep.
Okay. So there's no opportunity to reconnect to it culturally as a group, right? We're all watching it at home. Sure, we're talking about it online, whatever, right? And that continues on. And then we get to Loki, which is the next project. We get to Loki, and there's this promise of this vast multiversal story that we're going to get, right? And they set it up perfectly in Loki season 1. The credits roll, and what's happening behind the credits, Rich?
I don't remember what
the Marvel multiverse is collapsing.
The multiverse, yeah.
Collapsing. Threads are collapsing onto each other, and we end that series thinking in our minds, okay,
and then
this is going to go somewhere exciting and somewhere interesting, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then what happens?
Nothing.
No follow through.
Yeah.
No follow through at all. What happened in Loki had no consequential effect on anything else in Marvel.
Right.
The only multiversal movie was self-contained. The multiversal aspect of it was self-contained, with Wanda using the Darkhold to try and find her sons. So it didn't get tied back into Loki. It didn't get tied back into something we'd already connected with.
Right.
So how are we supposed to connect with it? Right? Plus, it's this missing, they make this promise to us. They make this guarantee to us saying like, hey, commit yourself to the Disney shows. It's going to be great. It's going to be, it's going to expand your experience. It's going to make the cultural experience even richer. That's what Disney Plus is going to do. And what does it do? It doesn't do anything like that. It doesn't do anything like that.
I would contend it made it worse.
Yeah, it did. It did because it went off and it went off and it went off and it told it. Sorry, it went off and it told its own stories. It didn't bring anything back. It didn't clean up any of the threads,
Right.
right? And 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 I'm not being ironic about this, and I'm not trying to again like this isn't a pun. The threads thing with Loki, I'm not. That's literally what Loki was about. Was about story threads,
Yeah.
right? So the fact that they don't follow through on Loki and they just kind of like, yeah, here, take the Marvel universe. This is what we're giving you. Enjoy it. Be happy with what you get. And I think a lot of fans were just like, seriously, dude, fuck you. Like, no, like we're paying more than we've ever had to pay for Marvel content, right? Because now we have a Disney Plus subscription. So not only do we have to pay for movie tickets that have gone up in price,
Mm-hmm.
we have to pay for the Marvel, we have to pay for Disney Plus, right? Everything at the movie theater has gone up in cost. Inflation is coming. Like, people are losing their jobs. It's just not a good time to sit there and try and culturally experiment with your winning franchise. Just turn on the money machine and let the fucker run, dude. Like, just follow the shit that you started, right? And then the other thing I think that people don't talk about enough when it comes to Marvel is that all the new characters are just Fortnite skins of old characters, right? Like they're just Fortnite skins of old characters. You got a new Thor, you got a new Hulk, you got a new Black Panther, you got a new Captain America, you got a new Iron Man. It's just Fortnite skins of all the old, like all the same characters.
Yeah.
I feel like personally, this is my belief, and I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, even though I'd love to be conspiratorial. But I think what we witnessed was Marvel trying to make the worst out of a bad situation. And what they did was is they ran the biggest test marketing campaign in the history of the film business. We were basically all trapped at home, and they run, they were running they were basically running a focus group. Like, let's see how people respond to these characters. Let's put them out on the shows. Let's put them into new movies. Let's see how they respond to these characters. And that's why we didn't get the multiversal story that we could have had.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like maybe Kevin Feige and his team haven't been transparent enough about the difficulties that COVID presented. Maybe they had a whole story post Loki that was like all ready to rock and roll, and COVID fucked everything up. If that's the case, they need to come out and say that, because our perception right now is that we were sold a false bill of goods and we didn't get what we invested in, right?
Yeah.
So it would actually be in their best interest to say, like, hey, you know what? We had this great thing lined up post Loki. We were ready to roll it out, but because of COVID, we just couldn't execute it. We just couldn't do it, right? We didn't have the funds coming in from the parks because we had to shut down the parks. There's a whole bunch of reasons. Like, there's got to be an explanation as to why they didn't follow through on that particular thread,
Yeah.
But listen, I've thrown a ton at you. And in a way I was kind of like plugging our doc when it comes out, but this goes deeper. Like, this goes so much deeper than what I've said. Like, there are probably 5 or 6 other contributing factors beyond what I just laid out. Like,
Yeah.
It's bananas, dude. It's bananas. People are going to be talking about the last 10 years of Hollywood for the next 600 years, because that's how crazy it is. That's how crazy it is. And we'll get into that in the documentary.
Stay tuned.
But yeah.
Stay tuned.
But yeah, I threw a lot at you. So go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot to unpack. So
yeah.
No. So I think the movie, the box office for everyone has been bad for 2025, but Marvel could have been the outlier if they had continued to stick with the formula that worked in the first 3 phases.
Yeah.
What I think happened in the beginning of the downfall of Marvel was a perfect storm of COVID, the writer's strike, and greed. Especially the launch of Disney Plus. Disney Plus, they were hungry for content.
Yep.
You want to launch Disney Plus with as much content as you want, and they had already a ton. But they had to get original content out there. People weren't going to be happy with just the library of old Disney stuff, the library of
Yep.
old Star Wars stuff, the library of Nat Geo stuff, and all
Yep.
that. So Iger, in his wisdom, said, "Make everything." The reason why phase 1 through 3 worked so well, the Infinity Saga worked so well, is that they spaced everything out enough to what you were talking about. It became part of the culture and people talked about it and people missed it enough to where when the next event came
Yes.
out, people
Yes.
were like, "Oh, I got to go see that
Yep.
now." But when you throw so much, and this is where you lost the casual fan, is when you throw so much out there, it's too much homework now, man. Like
Yep.
with Fantastic Four, it's 37 movies now that people felt like they had just movies, not even talking about the TV shows. There's so much homework now that people feel like they have to do, and they just don't want to do that anymore. And I think they thought when Fantastic Four came out was okay, this is its own self-contained story in a different universe. It's not connected to any other Marvel project at all. You can go in having not watched the previous 36 and be okay and kind of
Yeah.
understand what's happening. But I think it
Yep.
was too little, too late because the only people left watching these movies, like you were saying, are the diehards, and that's a very small minority when you're talking about box office success. You have to keep that casual fan, and that's what the Infinity Saga did so well. They were only putting out what 2 movies a year, and it gave people, and there was no TV show, so it gave people time to watch it, talk about it, and then 6 months, 8 months later, a new one's coming, a new Marvel movie. Not talking about just an Avengers movie, just another Marvel movie came out, and you know they're connected. Like when the first Avengers movie came out in 2012, the local theater I went to ran a Marvel movie marathon, and we watched all the movies from Iron Man to the midnight release of
They did that in
Avengers.
Toronto too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the place was packed and people were all
Yeah.
dressed up and it was like this whole thing. But you
Yeah.
could do that. Can you imagine doing that? There'd be no way a movie theater could do that now with as many
No.
movies. So the casual fan was lost when the glut of not just content but lackluster content from Marvel was coming out. With a few exceptions, a lot of the TV shows weren't great. I liked them to varying degrees. I mean, I'm kind of predisposed to like them, but I could tell when there was some falters and some rushed work and some things just to put out there just to keep the content train going.
Yeah.
And you see the course correction now. They're pulling back, or did I say Iger earlier? Chapek. Chapek was the one that wanted all the
Chapek.
content.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
So now Iger is course correcting with Feige. He's like, okay, we're only going to do back to what we did. What worked, right? So they all went back to the drawing board. What worked? Okay, 2, 3 movies a year, maybe a couple of TV shows. Now that we're in this, and let's bring back Robert Downey Jr. and the Russos. So that's where we're at now. That's what they're doing to hopefully bring back the casual fans. Oh, you remember RDJ and Iron Man back in 2008? Hey, we're bringing them back. Come put your butt in the seat. So I with Avengers and then I forgot to mention this, the whole Jonathan Majors thing. They had to completely like rewrite that timeline because Majors
Yeah.
was gone. This was
Yep.
all around Kang and the Kang dynasty and all that. And now he's just a footnote in Ant-Man that got beat up by some super intelligent ants. So he's not the big bad. They had to throw Doctor Doom in there, and Doctor Doom should have been the big bad all along, is my thinking. But that's them trying to bring back the casual fan. Is like, hey, you remember the Russos, how they did so well on the Avengers movies? We're bringing them back to write these and direct these, and Robert Downer Jr.'s coming back, and Spider-Man, and so they're trying to woo back that casual fan. And I don't know if Avengers Doomsday is going to bring in $1 billion. There was a time where you could throw an Avengers label out there, guaranteed $1 billion. I don't know if it's going to do it. I don't know if the movie going public is going to have the patience for it now. It all depends between when's it supposed to be coming out, November 26th next year.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So I mean, you got a year to figure it out, but I mean, I don't know if it's going to make 1 billion. I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to.
I don't think it's going to either. So you brought up an interesting thing. Avengers movie. There was no Avengers movie.
Yeah,
There hasn't been an Avengers movie since Endgame,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that's what we're all looking, dude. That's what we all want. Like that's what we're all looking forward to. As soon as a new fucking phase starts, that's the one thing that everybody is getting ready to sort of just, you know, that like that's what we all want. That's what we're all looking for. Is we want that Avengers movie, and you didn't deliver. So like, how are we supposed to have fucking faith in you guys anymore? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you bring up Doomsday, and I want to go back. You're talking about the whole billion situation. Let's talk about what a billion represents right now. So the way I've always seen things is like this. Okay, Marvel started making billions when they got the casual audience, right?
Exactly. Yep.
That was key. That was the key. They had to get the casual audience to make the billion, right? And where I think Marvel finally crossed over into capturing that casual audience was Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yep. Exactly right.
because that was the moment that it went mainstream, right? The soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy was number one on the top 200 on the Billboard top 200 for like 18 weeks.
Oh, it's
That
great.
was
It's my Spotify
mainstream.
playlist, man. I love it.
Right. That's the mainstream crossover. And Marvel never
Mhm.
had anything like that before. That is when Marvel finally went mainstream, was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. That was the big shift. And from that point on, any of those movies could have made $1 billion, right? Any of those films could have made $1 billion. And the reason that they did make $1 billion was because they did capture that casual audience. Now, here's where WB doesn't get it. Here's where they fucked up everything and why they kept course correcting, because they wanted to hit $1 billion. But the thing is, they were never going to hit $1 billion because DC doesn't have the same appeal to a casual audience as Marvel does.
Mhm.
And it's for some very straightforward reasons. DC is far more comic booky, right? They honor secret identities. They're like one to one with costume to screen. There is no cross genre storytelling, right? They're not trying to like weave in a heist story, and they're not trying to weave in a political thriller. It's just the characters in their worlds. Marvel does it all. It gives you the character in their world, and then they put on a little bit of some cross genre storytelling, and you get a Marvel movie, right? And
Mhm.
that's why Marvel was so successful in finding that casual audience, because they could find all these nodes where they could find different audience members, right? They weaved in the comedy, more audience members. They weaved in the cross genre storytelling, more audience members. And that's when it started to like permeate outside the fan base, where people would be like, dude, did you see this new movie? It's awesome. It's comic booky, but like it doesn't even need to be comic booky. Like it's good without the comic book characters. Like if these characters were just normal characters, this would have been a fantastic film. And that's what Fantastic Four had actually too. I think I said that in our last review, is that Fantastic Four was a film that could have survived just being a film and not even being a comic book movie. And WB doesn't, and that's the problem with WB. They never embraced what they were, and they never played to their strengths, right? So my theory with WB was this: lean into the darkness, lean into it, lean into the grit, lean into the darkness, lean into the adult humor, lean into the sex, lean into all that shit. Do everything that Marvel isn't doing, and find yourself a fucking audience, right? Because they could have pulled casual fans that way, right? Because we've seen casual fans do $1 billion box office for 300. We've seen casual fans do $1 billion box offices for Sin City. We've seen casual fans do $1 billion box offices for a lot of really gritty comic book shit, right? And there are different sort of vectors of appeal, and they were only relying on one. They were like, we got to be the next like we got to try and be more like Marvel. No, you got to be DC, and you got to figure out how to be DC but without trying to be like Marvel, you know? And I think that's where they really fuck things up, because I think that they were headed for $1 billion box office under Zack Snyder's vision. I really do. I think personally, my belief is this: if WB hadn't interfered with the BVS cut, if the Ultimate Edition had gone into theaters, I think they would have made $1 billion off that cut. I really do. Would you agree or disagree?
I would agree with that. That was the
Yeah.
whole reason why they brought Whedon into fix Justice League, right?
Yeah,
They tried to Marvelize Justice League. And I think that's the main difference. You're talking about the difference between DC and Marvel, or WB and Marvel, is that DC's characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, they're much more mythic than the Marvel superheroes that we've seen on screen.
exactly.
Captain
Yeah,
America, Spider-Man, all those, Iron Man, they're much more relatable to the casual
yeah.
fans. They gave them foibles that we as general audiences can identify with, right? But how do you identify with a Superman? How do you identify with a Wonder Woman? So what Zack Snyder did is he leaned into that mythos, right? He leaned into the godhood of these particular characters, even Batman to an extent, a
But he made them
billionaire, right?
fallible.
Yeah,
But he did make them fallible.
sure. But
Yeah,
he tried to his universe was the answer to Marvel's lighthearted, quippy thing,
exactly. Yeah.
and it for me it worked. I liked watching DC opposite Marvel because it was two different things,
Me too. That's what
and
I loved about it. Was like, hey, you know what? I've seen enough Marvel movies, like, enough, enough tense moments being undercut by jokes. I'm gonna go watch a DC movie and I can get a whole different vibe. And that's
yeah.
what I loved about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Zack Snyder did, and he's kind of the perfect filmmaker for that type of filmmaking. Is he
Yep.
leans into the mythos
Yep.
of the characters and of what DC represents, and it was kind of the anti Marvel in that
Yep.
sense. And the Boys is very similar to that on Amazon Prime, very much not Marvel, and it found an audience. It's got
Yep.
its own spin-offs now, which are really great. It was just something that was different and something that people could watch that wasn't Marvel. But when they brought in Whedon to try to Marvelize Justice League, it didn't do great.
Fell
Um,
on its ass.
yeah, it was not great. So
Nope.
um, yeah, so I just think that a lot of things in terms of like the superhero fatigue, a lot of it is homework. A lot of it is just the movie changing habits of the general public.
Yep.
So I don't know post Fantastic Four. You know, Fantastic Four was supposed to be we're Marvel's back, baby, but we're not. I don't think it was no knock to Fantastic Four. Great movie, loved it.
Yeah.
And I do think Marvel, from kind of like a storytelling standpoint, was back in that sense. So yeah, I just think trying to do the universe thing is tough. I mean, DC's trying to reboot it again with James Gunn, and people have seen that done that now. So it's not going to be this new novel thing that they're hoping for. I think the only difference is, they're integrating Creature Commandos type of animated series with it now to be part of the canon, and so yeah, I just think it's kind of where we're at now. I think you're asking some of these universe building movies are asking too much of their audience to do before watching the movie.
I agree.
Too
Yeah.
much homework. It's just too much. And then people are like, you know what? I can't do it. I'll just wait for it to come out on streaming and I'll watch it on my own time. And
Yeah.
you have to meet people where they are now, in
Yeah.
terms of how you do these movies. So I think what both of these universes need to do is make your movie, tie it tangentially to the greater story. Don't make it so dependent on people having to watch 37 movies and 15 TV shows to understand one scene
Totally
in the
agree.
next movie. So
Totally agree. Yeah. Do you have any insights on what could have been different about Fantastic Four to give it a better box office?
man, I don't know. I mean, I think releasing it 2 weeks after Superman might have been a mistake.
Yeah.
Um, I would have probably, if I could have done it before Superman, I would have done it, or wait until November.
Okay.
Um, and because this is the last Marvel movie until 2026, so you have the runway to lead into it. And if superhero fatigue really is the case, don't release it 2 weeks after Superman. um,
Yeah.
I would have done it before, or I would have done it way later. I think because it's not the movie. The movie's good. I don't think I would have changed anything about the movie specifically. I just think you put two event movies really close together. And back in the day, you would do that. Remember the dueling volcano movies, Dante's Peak and Volcano, that kind of
Yeah.
came out. Uh,
Deep Impact
yeah,
in
Deep Impact
and
and
yeah.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. I'm like, oh man, it was like back in the '90s when we were doing stuff like this. But people's movie viewing habits have changed. And I saw I saw Superman, Fantastic Four. I'll wait.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what it is. I don't think it was bad word of mouth. I think the movie got generally good word of mouth, good reviews, good audience scores. So not about the movie. I think it was just the release date was a mistake. Should have pushed it out to November.
So my thoughts are this: in the lead up to the film, there was some negative press around it, right? Like people were just like, "Oh shit, Sue Storm is going to be the center of this, and
Oh, it's gonna be
it's
super
going to,
woke.
yeah, it's going to be super woke." And then the Shala Ball thing, the Northern Rat. Like, I think okay, here's what I'm thinking right now. I think every comic book movie coming out, if they want to be successful, they need to do whatever they can to mitigate any of these kinds of criticisms as they possibly can. They need to test the film with left leaning people, and they need to test the film with right leaning people. And they need to understand both sets of data, and they need to move ahead based on whatever feedback they get. Because what's happening is we're becoming, as a society, more polarized politically, and we are becoming very rigid about our thinking, our behavior, our spending, etc., based on these sort of political undercurrents. Like that's definitely a part of it. And I think if they had led with Nor and Rad, um, I think it could have been. I think it could have been a bigger movie. I definitely think they could have done a bigger box office. Also, I think if they had not done the Franklin Richards thing on this, I think it could have been again. I think they could have made more money at the box office. But I do agree with you about them following Superman so closely. I think that was a part of it. I think that there was like online, sure, it's just Twitter and Twitter is not real life. I get that. But there was a fan base of Superman who was, actively going up against Fantastic Four and saying horrible things about the movie. And then there was a fan base of Fantastic Four fans who were doing the very same thing to the Superman movie as we were leading up to it, right? There's just this culture of like tribalistic, like, combat, like online combat. It's getting ridiculous, and it's getting really embarrassing to even witness these days. Like I was like, what fucking world am I in?
Yeah.
Like it it doesn't make any fucking sense to me,
Well, a lot of
Um,
the discourse about Fantastic Four being afraid of being super woke, you go to see the movie, and you couldn't have been proven more wrong.
it's
It
not
just
woke
it
at all.
wasn't.
It's not
And
woke at all.
you're talking about testing things. They could have tested this, and people are going to look for things
You're
that aren't
right.
there all the
You're
time,
right. But
right?
you're right,
So
but they need data. But they do need data. And I think the other thing that's hurting these movies is too much content is being released beforehand. And I know that I'm a writer and I have a skill set that most people don't have, but I put together the Superman plot from the content,
there is a lot of like
right?
previews and clips.
Yeah,
Like when they showed the clip of Reed Richards talking to the press and saying he wants our son. Big mistake.
huge mistake.
You should not have shown that in a
Yeah,
YouTube clip. And
huge
same thing with
mistake.
Captain America Brave New World. You should have
Yep.
kept the Red Hulk under
Hulk
wraps
is
the entire
surprised.
time.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
frame, not lie to us as a preview, but you could have
Right.
told a preview without Red Hulk being involved at all. It was just a kind of another conspiratorial theory movie a la Winter Soldier, and
Yeah.
kind of tap back into that vein that made Winter Soldier so good. And then, oh my God, you see the Red Hulk in the theater. That would have got people talking for weeks. No matter,
Ye-
it could have been the same movie, and it wasn't a great movie. It was fine. It was fun, but you spoiled it for me at the beginning. But
Yeah.
that's Marvel not trusting its audience and saying, I got to show you this big, huge thing now,
Yes,
hoping you'll
exactly.
come to the theater
Exactly.
and see how that happened. No,
Yeah.
man, leave me something.
They're
Um,
making things worse. That's the thing. They
yeah,
think every solution that they have to this problem is making things better. It's not. It's making things worse. It's
yeah,
compounding, and it's just making things worse and worse and worse. And they don't understand what they're doing. They don't even understand what they're up against because they're so in their own little fucking bubble, right? And they've gotten to this place where they feel comfortable even criticizing fans. Let's look back at Lucasfilm and how they've handled recent criticisms to their content, right? You have them
Yeah.
calling people like they're calling people bigots and calling people racist because they don't like their fucking show.
Yeah.
Like what? You have
Yeah.
you have Ewan McGregor, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi putting up videos on social media saying like if you don't feel this certain way about this, then you're a bigot or you're a racist. What the fuck? Like where like in what world do you think you're going to be financially successful by insulting your customers? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like me that's like me opening a restaurant and insulting everybody before they order food. Like what?
Like, unless that's your stick at a restaurant, don't do that. Like, there are restaurants that
Exactly.
do that, but if that's not your thing, don't do that. But yeah, I just think the way they're doing things, and I think part of it too is I think we're past the age of the movie star. Like, there's not a bankable movie star anymore. Like, gone are the days now where you can slap a name on a movie and guarantee butts and seats. It's just not that anymore. I don't think you
There are a
have.
couple that still do that. There's still
Sure,
a
I mean,
couple
well,
of
Tom
them.
Cruise is single-handedly trying to save the movie industry. So,
Tom Cruise.
but I
Yeah,
think Tom
Tom Cruise is
Cruise,
definitely there.
I think Brad Pitt are like, but back in the 80s, 90s, you
Yeah.
had Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, Steven
Yeah.
Seagal to an extent. Like, you could throw these names on a poster, show no preview, and you would be guaranteed to make 100 million opening weekend. Just because of the name alone. But now when you have all these movies that are IP related and that are
Yeah.
remakes and
Yeah.
sequels, there's you can't put a name. There's no name on it. They're banking on the intellectual property, putting butts in seats. But when you do that, you're forced to throw Red Hulk into your preview when you really shouldn't have. Because
Agreed.
Anthony Mackie's a
Yeah.
great actor. He's not a Tom Cruise. He's not a Tom Hanks. He's not a Brad Pitt. He's not a
Right.
name you can throw on a poster and people will go see a movie.
Right. Yeah, no, like I said the exact thing, like I said the exact same thing about Red Hulk. I said, dude, if you had hid that and then the embargo got lifted and all the content creators who got to see the movie, they would be writing like in their reviews saying big surprise coming in this movie. You guys
Yeah.
have to see this,
Yeah.
right? And everybody would have gone just to see what people were fucking talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Because
it probably would have done $1 billion.
I mean, because imagine seeing Harrison Ford for the first time turn into the Red Hulk. You'd been like,
No
"Oh my
shit.
god, I can't believe 80-year-old Harrison Ford is a Hulk
Fucking Han
now."
Solo. Han Solo just
Right?
turned into a Hulk, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
That would have been
Yeah,
water cooler talk for sure. But
exactly.
they blew the load in the first preview. So it's like,
Yeah,
what else do you got?
exactly. Yeah, they have to stop showing so much content in their fucking previews. It is just so boring. People can piece the story together. They know what's going on as they're going into the theater. That is not what you want. You want
Yeah,
people who are looking to be surprised, right? Like that's one of the reasons No Way Home fell so flat for me was because I knew that Tom and I knew Andrew were coming. If you had surprised me in the theater with Tom and Andrew,
yeah,
holy shit.
yeah,
I would have been standing on my seat. Like I swear to God, I would have got beaten up in the theater because I would have been blocking somebody's view or some shit. Because the way that I genuinely reacted to Thor coming in Infinity War for the final fight and Cap catching Mjolnir.
Oh my gosh, you're never gonna have events like that in the theater ever again.
But you could. That's the problem. You could.
You could,
You just don't have anybody who has the fucking creativity to do that anymore.
yeah,
Like that's just let's fucking face facts here, right?
yeah,
And the one thing we should talk about in this conversation because it's only fair is that there have been some cultural outliers as far as subverting this sort of black box office black hole, right? You had Barbie, you had Oppenheimer, you had Dune, and you had Deadpool and Wolverine,
hmm,
right? And I think one of the things that needs to be said about Deadpool and Wolverine is it's very simple. Force multipliers in all these movies, right?
nostalgia for that one particularly.
Nostalgia for most of them. but also the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like nobody's gonna not go see that. That's just
Yeah.
not gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool again. Nobody's gonna miss that.
And in the same movie.
Yeah, and in the same movie, exactly. Like seeing Deadpool and dude,
Yeah.
everybody's going to see Deadpool and Wolverine in the same movie.
Yep.
That's not going to be something you skip, right?
Yep.
And then Dune, Villeneuve just hits it out of the park every time he steps up to the plate. So everybody can confidently go see that movie and know that it's going to be a banger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barbie was a cultural event because it's fucking Barbie and people were talking about it like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, which it wasn't. It was fucking the dumbest movie ever. Um,
It was a neat
and
cultural experiment, though.
it was. In Oppenheimer, I think it was more or less Nolan. Like I think Nolan
Yeah.
drove most of that, but he put together one of the greatest casts of all time. And um, you know, the the funniest defense I heard of Superman when people are like complaining about the number of people in the movie, they were like, "Oh my god, Superman's like so overpacked. Like they got so many characters, too many people to follow." John Roca, who I think you know, the commentator, he's like, well, Oppenheimer had all these characters. Dude, Oppenheimer's a historical event. You
Yeah.
can't like write people out.
And it was an
Like
extra hour long too.
yeah, it's actually that too, but it's a historical event. Like it's a historical event. You can't just be like, hey, you know what? Cast is too big here. We got to get rid of Einstein, guys. I'm sorry, we just got to get rid of Einstein.
What?
Right? You just
We don't
can't,
need
you just
him in
can't do
there.
that shit. Sorry?
It's like, we don't need him in there.
Right, exactly.
He can just be implied off screen.
Exactly. Fuck, man. Too funny, too funny. But anyways, when we release this documentary, you guys are not going to believe what we've mapped in here. Like it's going to be mind blowing. Like I can't wait for this thing to come out. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. I'm still figuring out how we're going to do it, whether we're going to interview people or whether we're just going to sort of do like a video essay style. But we're still talking it out, trying to figure it out. And if I can get the budget, I want to go like fly and meet people and do interviews and all that, but we'll see how it happens. But I've got it all mapped out. I've shared it with all my buddies and my friends, and they're like, "Holy shit, dude! How did you track this pattern? This is crazy." Yeah. So, anyways, Asperger's brain, just like dots, just that's how it works.
Yep.
Yeah. So, brand new day.
Yeah,
Exciting.
speaking of revealing too much, my God,
Yes.
this is like the least protected movie lot I've seen ever. Like,
Yeah.
if enough of these leaks come out, you can piece the movie together without watching it.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen. I really don't.
Yeah.
So this is the first Spider-Man movie without John Watts, and I really love really love Daniel Destin Cretton. His work on Shang-Chi was amazing, and I want to see him do Spider-Man. Like I want to see it. I don't want it spoiled for me. I want to see it. I don't want to work out the story in my head. So like I'm probably going to put a block on it or like a mute thing on my X account very soon. But I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm
I
excited for the
think
fight
that
scenes. When I heard he was doing it, I was like, oh, the fight scenes have got to be good. Because Shang-Chi, nobody talks about Shang-Chi enough. The fight scenes were great. I thought the movie was really good. And then we never see him again, like
yeah,
in so many movies. So it'll be good to see a remnant of Shang-Chi being the director of the film. Just do Spider-Man. So the action scenes I think are going to be really well done. And I'm kind of like you. I don't want to know anything about it. I mean, the name obviously is going to clue you in on what comic books this is probably going to be based off of.
yeah,
But I mean, you want to capture the casual fan back. I mean, first throw Spider-Man on a marquee. You're going to get the casual fan back.
yep, good chance of it.
I think Tom Holland is a cherished Spider-Man, right up there with Toby and Andrew. You're not going to see the battles of who's the best Superman or best Spider-Man like you're seeing with Superman. I think all three are equally loved among the Spider-Man universe.
I think so too.
So you're going to see a lot of people in there. I still don't know if it's going to make $1 billion. I mean, it could. I think this could be the one movie that makes $1 billion, like No Way Home did. I don't know though. I don't know.
Well, I
So
think
we'll
that's one of
see.
the reasons they're trying to bring in heavy hitters here. Like you got two
Yeah.
Marvel characters in this. You got the Punisher
Yep.
and you got the Incredible Hulk. What version of the Hulk we don't really know yet
Ruffalo, right?
because yeah,
Oh
it's
well, which
Ruffalo, but I
version?
mean,
I
yeah,
gotcha. Smart
yeah,
Hulk
what
or Dumb Hulk?
yeah, or Savage Hulk or whatever. Like there's all kinds of rumors right now. Um, obviously the tanks are in the city for the Hulk. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Or it's some sort of post Daredevil born again, New York City, Mayor Fisk is martial law type shit. That's another direction I think this is going. If I'm being honest, that's kind of where I see it. Probably tying in because there's rumors about the Kingpin being in this too.
Hmm.
Um, but nobody's mentioned Daredevil being in it though. So I don't know, but I'm excited to see it. I'm not a big fan of John Watts as far as what he's done with Spider-Man. I don't know if you've been a fan of John Watts with Spider-Man, but
Yeah, I liked it. I like the John
yeah.
Hughes aspect of the first movie. You could clearly see the inspiration of a John Hughes flick in the first Spider-Man movie. I thought he
But
did a
it's
good
not
job with the
really a
trilogy.
Spider-Man movie though, right? Like
What's
it
that?
doesn't feel Spider-Man to me.
No, not that first one. No, I mean because you're starting in the middle of his being kind of in the middle of his being Spider-Man, so you don't get the origin story. So you're kind of thrown into the middle of it.
But I
Of,
mean
of
just the characterization too. It just doesn't connect for me. So for instance, he's not very quippy. He's not very funny.
yeah,
He doesn't have a job. He um he's kind of dumb, to be honest. Like one of the biggest issues I took with No Way Home was this. I couldn't I couldn't I couldn't get beyond the fact that they fumbled the inciting incident, like the whole MIT thing, right?
mm,
Like John Watts, think about this for a second, okay? MIT. Tony Stark went to MIT. He was the biggest, like he was MIT's biggest. He was like their biggest contributor, like their biggest donator, right?
hmm hmm
One phone call from Peter to Pepper Potts solves that situation in 30 seconds. Like there's no real reason to bring Doctor Strange into this at all.
yeah,
So it was stupid. And not only that, but Peter doesn't know that he can appeal the decision. Like he doesn't know we can call the school and appeal the decision.
yeah.
That's stupid. Like it's just a poorly put together film. Like I'm not a fan of it at all. I love like in a vacuum, the scenes with Toby, Andrew, and Tom are great
Yeah.
in a vacuum, but the movie is just it's a fucking dog turd, dude. Like it just doesn't. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
I think they had to rewrite a lot of it because America Chavez was supposed to be in No Way Home, but
Yep.
they changed the release order of something, and that's why they had what was his best friend's name doing the sling ring like he's learned it his whole life. I forgot what his name was.
Oh,
Oh,
Ned.
Ned, yeah. So then they
Yeah,
had Ned as some sort of like sling ring bear when that was supposed to be
that
America
was the
to
fucking
doing
worst,
that.
dude. That was the
So
worst.
I think it was a victim, and again, it's that Marvel method, right?
Yeah.
They're laying down the tracks as the train is coming, and it kind of paints them into a corner and having to shoehorn something in there that shouldn't have been there. Um,
Yeah, I would love to read that America Chavez script and see how they did that because it would probably make a lot more sense than Ned doing it in his grandma's kitchen and Toby and Andrew just randomly fight or just randomly finding them.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Fucking
but
nonsense, man.
so yeah, so brand new day. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like you. I'm trying to stay away from the clips, but they pop up. But I I'm hoping they don't do the same mistakes that we've seen and show too much because you don't have to show too much for Spider-Man. You're gonna be guaranteed people to see it. They revealed the suit late recently, a little 10
Yeah.
second video clip. I thought the suit looked great. Looks
Yeah,
very
suit looks great.
classic. Looks very classic.
Those web
Kind of
shooters look awful though. Looks
oh
like he's
yeah.
got like a like It looks like a bracket from a door, like on his wrist. Like it just does not look good.
Yeah, maybe it's you know, they're getting the feedback. Maybe they'll change it. But
Hopefully,
overall,
hopefully,
I thought the suit looked really good. And this is just like this is a relaunch of Spider-Man. This is
right?
the Spider-Man we've all come to like love in the comic books. He's down
Hopefully,
on his luck. He's barely able to pay rent every month. Like this is why we love Spider-Man. He's one of
yeah,
us. He just
yeah.
happens to have, spider powers. So,
What
uh
does this Spider-Man movie have to have for you to get excited about it?
uh I don't know. I mean, I'm already excited just to see Tom Holland back on screen before
Yeah,
Doomsday. Um, Having the Punisher in there was icing on the cake. I wasn't expecting any of that. I thought this was going to be, a central Spider-Man movie. But
right.
I think I was watching or seeing something on either TikTok or Instagram, the list of the villains. Like these villains are off the wall. I didn't see a Green Goblin in sight or a Hobgoblin in sight.
Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion. So this should be pretty good. But yeah, I'm pretty excited just hearing the names. Seeing that John Bernthal's going to have add a lot of gravitas to the film.
Yep.
Um, eh, so that's exciting for me. I can't wait to see how they interact. I'm hoping. I would really love to see that Punisher comic book cover of him with the sniper rifle and Spider-Man in his sights. That would be pretty cool, man. That would be
Yeah, that
neat.
wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad.
But it would be
So,
hilarious if they threw in like Venom and Craven. If Madam Web makes an appearance,
oh god.
this could get hilarious.
Yeah, I don't want it to be hilarious. That's the thing though. Like I just want it to be a good Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, what a good Spider-Man movie is I got to have plenty of aerial, web swinging,
Oh yeah.
acrobatics, just aerial stunts all over the place. Like I got to have that stuff, right? And that's one thing that the MCU is underserved for Spider-Man over and over again is that there hasn't been any skyscraper like, labyrinths, web swinging, none of that stuff. They haven't done any of that, and I think that that is, drastically underserved this character. um, the other thing is I have to have good side characters. They have to be consequential. They have to have an impact on the story. Like it has to be Harry Osborn level, Raimi. It has to be Aunt May Raimi level, like consequence impact.
Hmm.
Um, because that's the other thing the MCU has failed to do for Spider-Man is the side characters have been like they're like they're like 2D standees, like they're like cardboard standees, like they have no impact on the story whatsoever. Like you could take a cutout of Zendaya and put it in a corner for the shots, and that cutout is going to bring about as much weight to the scene as Zendaya does, because the script just doesn't serve her,
Yeah.
right? Like the writing has not served the side characters at all, and I need somebody who can come in and write a great script with some great characters, lots of development, lots of depth, and I want to see them go down those holes. Like I want to see really good character development. The other thing is like, I want to see Peter stand on his own.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be, I don't want him to have to be, I don't want him to have to rely on somebody to save the day. Like, do it on your own, dude. Make
No
your
guy in the
own.
van. No guy in the
Yeah.
van.
Yeah. Like, make your own fate, bro. Like, make your own destiny. Like, let's get shit together and make it happen. So,
Yeah, I think with
um,
this rebirth of Spider-Man it has the opportunity to do all of that because if
I hope so.
everybody's memory is lost from who he is, so you
Yeah.
have a chance to build those characters, those side characters up again, and seeing if they can remember who he is and how do they come to this realization. So that could be fun. And he is on his own because he doesn't have Ned because Ned forgot who he was or doesn't remember who he is. He's going to have to rely on his own wit and his own street smarts to get out of the situation. He doesn't have a support system. It's just him. So I think we're going to see a lot of that growth. I think in these characters.
I hope so, dude, because like we need those good side characters. Like these Spider-Man just falls flat without good side characters around him because he's the one, like they're the ones that inform him as a character. Like they're the ones that inform his development. And that's the reason why I think Tom Holland's writing has felt so flat is because the side characters just haven't had any impact on him, you know? So
Yeah. Now, I know Brand New
Anyways,
Day, the comic, Mephisto played a huge role in that.
he
So now
did.
that
Yeah.
Mephisto was revealed in Ironheart, spoilers for Ironheart if you haven't seen it yet,
Yeah.
do we think Mephisto is gonna play a role in Brand New Day? I mean, could be interesting. Who knows? I saw some recent pictures of Sasha Cohen getting jacked in the gym, so maybe
I saw that too. Yeah, I I still think it's going to be like a story surrounding the Kingpin. I think he'll be involved in it because
more
I
street
do
level.
think that this is a post Daredevil Born Again story.
Yeah.
I do that like I do think the setup from Born Again is going to play some part in the Spider-Man story a little bit. Because we already know that Matt and Peter Parker, MCU Peter Parker, exist in the same universe. So
And they know each other.
and they know each other. So that could be a thing. So we briefly touched on it, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this whole like why are Superman fans just constantly talking about the goddamn domestic box office numbers like it's going to save them from not beating Man of Steel?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning a little bit. It's all spin because I'm looking at Box Office Mojo right now, and studios depend about 60% of their box office tickets to come from the foreign market, anywhere between 60 to 80%, right? And so you have Superman. So far in 2025 is the number 7 movie. It's only done 42% of their box office money from international audiences. So you have to spin that in terms of that's why you're seeing a lot of reporting on domestic box office, domestic box office. Normally you would hear, you didn't hear that with Endgame, right? You didn't hear, oh, the domestic box office for Endgame was no, it's worldwide box office, worldwide this. The
That's exactly
only
what I said.
Yeah, I mean the only movie to hit a billion US movie to hit $1 billion is Lilo and Stitch, and they just hit that in July. So it just
Yeah.
crossed the $1 billion mark. So the rest of the box office is pretty soft. But you have to spin things to make them sound good. You have shareholders to answer to, right? So they say Superman is the biggest domestic opening of a Superman movie ever. That's why you have like movies say this is the number one comedy when really it was maybe like the number 4 movie of the weekend, but it was the number one comedy or whatever the case is. So it's just spin. It's any way to paint a positive picture on a movie that's not doing so well overseas as they hoped. But really, I mean, the majority of the box office isn't doing great overseas. You have Fantastic Four only did 46% overseas of their box office. F1, F1 actually did really well, 68%.
Yeah,
But
cuz
F1's more of an international sport.
it's a
Um,
universal thing.
yeah, and then we talked about Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise being a global superstar. He did 67% of that
Of
movie's
course.
box office was
Yeah.
foreign. So I- yeah, Superman, Fantastic Four just did not appeal to foreign audiences for some reason. Superman is surprising that it didn't. Fantastic Four, I I get why. It's much more of an American thing than I think a lot of foreign audiences don't understand. Maybe
I would
Fantastic
argue that
Four.
Superman is far more American in the eyes of the international audience than Fantastic Four is, but
Yeah, but he's a more known entity than
true.
Fantastic Four
Yeah, I
globally.
agree with that. But
So, but
but
yeah,
yeah,
it's
no,
just
it
you
is
gotta you
spin.
just gotta spin it.
Yeah, it is spin, but it's also just really, really weird that it's not just it's not just the industry media, it's not just the access media and the online media, it's literally fans. Like they're I think that they were all so hopeful about beating Man of Steel so that they could forget about it once and for all so they could like put it behind them forever. um that they're just sort of like in major cope mode. Like that's the
I
way
got
I see things a little
I
bit.
gotta say, and I don't know if it's because I'm a part of this podcast now, but I have not seen two camps of movie fandom.
Yeah.
Even during the Star Wars days, right? Even when Last Jedi came out, I saw it, but nowhere near the level of Snyder versus Gunn fans of Superman. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. Like
Yeah, they're nuts.
it's just another director's interpretation of the character.
Yep.
That's it. It's not even
Yep.
that big of a deal. It's just a
And they're
movie.
friends. And they're
Yeah, I
friends.
mean, yeah,
Zach
and they're
and James are
friends.
friends. They
Yeah, and
just did an
they
episode of Rick and Morty together.
right.
Zach just had a meeting with DC. He's coming back to DC, people. Like let's just be real about that. There's going to be something down the road for fucking Zack Snyder. So let's
I
calm
just
down
don't
here.
I just don't understand why the discourse is so the vitriol between the two camps is just insane. Like I liked both movies, right? I like Guns, I like Snyder's for different reasons. I like Snyder's mythic take on Superman. And I even liked it that it was kind of a darker toned movie in terms of coloring and photography. And I like Guns for the exact opposite reasons. I like that it was joyful. I like that it was colorful. I like that it was fun. I don't. I'm never going to be like Gunn is awesome and Snyder sucks, or
No,
even the
neither am I.
opposite.
Neither am I.
It's just ridiculous. I
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
understand it. I don't understand it. So
I
if you're
agree.
watching this out there, explain it to me like a 3-year old because
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, I can explain it to you, and I can explain it to everybody like they're 3 years old. I'll explain it to you right now. Okay. As far as DC fans go, there is a subset. And if you're in this subset, I'm sorry if I'm identifying you. I apologize. I still value you as a listener. But there's a subset that has this mindset where it's like one set of standards for Zack Snyder and one set of standards for everybody that isn't Zack Snyder. Okay. And I've seen that in action. It's not something that I'm making up. I've seen it play out. It's ridiculous. Right. See, when Zack Snyder haters criticize Zack Snyder's work, they have to misrepresent what's actually happening in the film or what's happened in the particular project they're talking about. They can't speak about it honestly, right? They can't use the words that you use to describe it, right? Mythic, gritty, etc. They're just always like dark, depressing, like, they have all these buzzwords that are very loaded. And they'll talk about the particular scenes that are the most controversial in the most dishonest way. You know, they like when they talk about when Jonathan Kent dies, they won't talk about the fact that before Jonathan goes to the truck to try and get the dog, everything looks fine. Like it doesn't look like the hurricane is just going to come in and kill everybody. Like it's off in the distance. Jonathan just kind of like casually like jogs over to the truck, right? They won't talk about that. What they will talk about is how Superman let his fucking dad die, right? And they won't talk about the fact that they know he doesn't have super speed yet because he doesn't have super speed. Because if he did have super speed, why wouldn't he use it to save the kids on the bus and not get caught? Why wouldn't he use it to get to the scout ship in Alaska, right? Why hitchhike all that way if you have super speed? He doesn't have super speed yet. So they won't be honest about that. What they want to do is they want to find vectors to attack the film so they can say that Zack Snyder is a bad filmmaker because they don't like Zack Snyder. They have this grudge against him. I don't know where it comes from. I know a lot of Zack Snyder fans who like James Gunn, and I know a lot of James Gunn fans who like Zack Snyder. I like both directors. I think both directors are supremely talented. I think both directors are going to continue to produce amazing films. I think both of their work stand on different grounds. Zach is a much more visual storyteller. James is a writer. He's also an auteur where he kind of weaves his world perspective and his sensibilities into every piece of work that he does. Zach is a lot more sort of reverent towards the source material, right? James is not as reverent towards the source material. But I respect both of them for what they do. And, it's like I just want people to be honest about the work. That's the only reason I get animated about this shit is because when I see you lying about somebody to make your point, you don't really have much of a point. If you have to misrepresent somebody's work to make your argument, you don't really have an argument, right? If the Zack Snyder haters really wanted to take down Zack Snyder, the best way to do it is to make an objective, fair argument against his work that undercuts what he's doing, but they can't do it. So they have to lie about it. And I think that's what gets everybody so animated about it is that these people, like, they have to lie about it. They have to lie about it. And same thing with the Zack Snyder fans, like the cultists, the Zack Snyder cultists, they have to like go to the nth degree and claim James Gunn as a pedo and all this other horrible shit.
Yeah.
Like they have to make these claims because that's all they have. They can't point at Guardians of the Galaxy and say that that's a bad movie because they know it's not. They know it's a good film,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they have to make up all this other shit. They're just children, man. They're just like fucking kids in a playground. Like, they haven't matured to a point where they can say in their heads at the same time, you know what? I really like what Zack Snyder did here, but I really like what James Gunn did here. Oh, I can like Zack Snyder. Holy shit. I can like James Gunn. Oh my God, I can do it at the same time. This is crazy.
But it's like, why that fandom though? I mean, you don't see that like, Sean Connery's, James Bond is the best and everybody else sucks. And, Timothy Dalton's the worst James Bond. And you're not going to tell me like, no, there's no other fandom in the movieverse that has that like very much the hill to die on.
Wanda
it's
stands
just
a little
really
bit.
unique to
Wanda
see.
stands a little bit.
Which one?
A little bit. Wanda stands a little bit.
Oh, you're talking about like Wanda Maximoff?
Yeah, a little
Oh,
bit. Like if you're talking to them about WandaVision and your argument is that she was bad the entire time, they're not putting up with that shit. Like they want to make the mental health tortured mother argument, and they want you to shut the fuck up. I've also seen people attack Michael Waldron and Multiverse of Madness because they feel like that film was not the logical conclusion of WandaVision. They feel like that film undid all the character development from WandaVision. And I'm like, no, it was the logical conclusion, like without a doubt. Like the show literally ends with her communicating with the Darkhold and the Darkhold pretending to be her sons.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's where it was headed, dude.
Yeah. And if you've seen the Agents of Shield Darkhold episodes,
Yeah, it's
that
fucked.
arc, it makes sense. It
It's
makes
fucked.
sense.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's fucked up. The Darkhold's fucked up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it'll
So
fuck you up.
that made sense to me with her reading the Darkhold at the end of it. I'm like, oh, she's about to break bad.
Yeah.
She's about to break bad. Because I remember the Agents of
100%.
Shield episode, the Darkhold arc. And so
Yeah.
that made sense to me. So if you haven't seen and that's the homework I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Agents of Shield Darkhold arc, you don't. It does feel whiplash of her kind of going through WandaVision. You see this kind of almost of an arc in WandaVision, and then her, regretting what she did, but the Darkhold reverses all that, and the Darkhold.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right about that. There is a little bit of context missing about the mythos of the Darkhold. Like,
because if you've only seen the movies,
nature of
that's
the
the first
Darkhold.
time if you've only seen the movies, that's the first time you've seen Darkhold. And that's when
true.
Agents of Shield was still
Very true.
very loosely tied to the MCU, so
Yeah. I like the Agents of Shield, honestly. I really enjoyed that series. That's great. That's awesome.
I liked it a lot.
We should do an Agents of Shield rewatch. That'd be fun.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
If you can get past like that first season, the rest is great. They just leaned into it. And Ghost Rider, fantastic.
I just want to talk about Fitzsimmons the entire time. Like,
yeah.
Simmons is so hot. Like, holy shit, is she hot? God damn. And so is Quake. They're both hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lots of hot chicks on that show. Well, it is a Joss Whedon show, so.
Yeah.
I wonder, he's coming back, isn't he?
I don't know, man.
Didn't he get hired for something?
I haven't seen lately. I don't know.
I
haven't read the news on that.
I don't know. I heard he's like friends with Gunn, so he's like coming back for something.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out.
That doesn't help James Gunn's controversial
no
comments at all.
It does not.
No, it does not. No. Distance yourself from Joss Whedon, please.
Yeah, was Woody Allen not available? I mean, what the
Oh my God. Especially after what Michelle Trachtenberg said about him.
Yeah.
Before she died. She's like, you couldn't leave me in a room with him, like alone. Like, nope.
Yeah.
Not me in a room with Joss Whedon.
Yeah, I don't see him getting any work anytime soon.
Yeah. Gal
It'd have to
Gadot
be
said
it'd
some
have to be
shit too.
uncredited and something. He'd have to hide his SAG card or something because it's not,
Yeah.
or his Writers Guild
Change his
card.
name.
Yeah, yeah.
Change his name. Yeah, Gal Gadot said something about him too. Hey,
Hmm.
wait. Maybe that's why James was denying the meeting. Huh. I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't like that he denied that meeting. I believe Gal, but that's me.
Hmm.
Do you believe Gal or no?
I haven't read about that, so I don't know. I'm not for sure.
That she
I'm
claimed
not
that
for
she
sure
had a
the
meeting
context.
with Safran and Gunn about Wonder Woman 3?
Oh no, I didn't hear that. So I
Yeah,
haven't read
no,
that one
she
yet.
came out publicly and said she had a meeting with Gunn and Safran and that she was really excited about it. And then
Huh.
Gunn came out publicly and said that never happened.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Why would Gal lie about that?
exactly.
She has no incentive to lie about that.
Yeah. But the co-CEOs of a studio do, especially if they don't want to carry through on the project.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Especially if you're trying to create a whole new DCU and leave the
yeah.
remnants of the
Oh, you
DCEU
know what?
behind.
That's the note we should leave the show off on. So John Campia put up a video this past week talking about his concerns about James Gunn as we move forward.
Mm,
He was saying that with James being the co-CEO of DC, he doesn't think it's a smart idea that James is creatively involved in all these projects moving forward. He
conflict of
wants James
interest.
he wants James to run the company.
Yeah.
He wants James to run the company. He wants James to go and find great talent. He wants James to put great talent onto these projects. He doesn't want to see James Gunn be the author on all these projects. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. I think if
I agree
you're
with him too.
Yeah, I think if you're running a company, you shouldn't be that down and dirty in the projects.
Yeah,
Maybe the first one, okay, but after that, well, I mean, I guess technically the first one, Creature Commandos, he literally animated himself into the open credits.
he did.
So is he
Yeah,
going to be one of them like micromanaging control freak bosses? Like, I think that the part what him and Saffron have to do is right the ship at DC, and you can't do that if you're rowing the boat, right?
totally agree.
You gotta like cast the vision and
Yeah,
then bring in writers and directors and actors that align with that vision and put out a great product. Um, you can't be part necessarily like a journalist. You got to report the story. You can't be part of the story. And with him getting so involved in Superman, I think that was the problem because he was involved in so much of the marketing and so much of the promotion. And I don't know if he's trying to play catch up with Feige in terms of that. I mean, but Feige he just
Feige doesn't do
naturally
that shit. He
became
just
he
shows up.
doesn't
Yeah, he just
he
shows up at the red carpet with a hat on and just makes a
yeah,
couple comments.
but he became part of that just over a long period of time though, and
Yeah,
Gunn's trying to do that in one shot.
yeah,
So yeah, I agree with that. You need to lead the troops, but you don't need to be like in there with the bayonet with them. You got to
yeah. I
cast the
agree.
vision and point everybody in the same direction. You lead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree. And also, let's be honest. James Gunn has already demonstrated that he's fairly self-indulgent, um, and that he doesn't have any qualms about inserting himself directly into the content
Yeah.
and almost mythologizing himself inside the content, which is what he's done
Hmm.
with Superman. And that's pretty you know, that's yeah, that's pretty self-indulgent. And I think him stepping back into the CEO role is going to be would be a good thing for him, so he can get a sense of where he's really at within the process.
Hmm.
Um, because I don't want to see his take on everything. Like I'm not interested in that. Like James Gunn is great, but if it was an entire DC universe based on the sensibilities and the tastes of James Gunn, I think I'll shoot myself in the fucking head. Um, and I'm just not ready for that. Like I want a diverse creative pool, right? Like Ann Noguera right now is apparently writing the Wonder Woman script, and I believe she's going to be writing the Teen Titans script. I hear she's a great writer. I haven't read or seen anything that she's written, but everybody's saying that she's awesome and that the Supergirl script was great. So I believe she wrote that as well.
Yeah.
So I think things are headed in a good direction already as far as James kind of stepping back from that. But I think he needs to be a little bit more aware of how autobiographical he made Superman for him,
Hmm.
because I don't think he accepts how autobiographical that movie really was. Like, I don't think he really sees it the way that other people see it. Like I said, it's one part earnest superhero story, but but that part is mostly cliche and very sort of at the surface, and then it's part satire, and then it's part like part like James Gunn's therapy session. Like, that
Yeah.
is the Superman movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I just want to see James Gunn get some good people together and let them cook.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see the Marvel method guns version, the
No.
Marvel method colon guns version,
Yeah.
because then you're falling in the same trap that, Feige kind of fell into. Like
Yeah.
he brought in talent, but didn't really let them make their movies, except for a few exceptions. So
Yeah.
I want different movies so that I can wonder how are they going to bring them all together, right? How are they going to get like, and I kind of hate that Matt Reeves Superman is an Elseworlds tale, because I want to see how that version of Batman gets along with Gunn's version of Superman. Like you couldn't pick two diametrically opposite tones of film and have them work together. So that's part of the fun in a multi-movie universe building thing, is how are
Yeah.
these people going to work together. But if, with the Marvel method, they're all kind of the same palette, and yeah, so it all made sense in how they work together. But yeah, so I think Gunn in the CEO role, just bring in good people, let them cook, and make a good product. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and during our Superman review, we talked about the fact that he's publicly said that he wants each film to have its own tone and how disastrous that potentially could be.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, he needs to focus on what needs to be done to build the best studio, not necessarily what needs to be done to have the next best film. He needs to look long term.
Hmm.
He needs to see 1,000 yards down the field, and he needs to be able to plot each move and each strategic step to get them to the best possible conclusion, not just the short game. Like, don't play the short game. Think about the long game, dude, and focus there. But
Yep.
anyways,
Yep.
well, I think that's gonna about do it. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. Um, if you want to check us out on social media, you can reach us at Court of Lore HQ on all social media platforms: YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And I think we still have our active leave us a voice note thing, so you definitely want to check that out. Court is adjourned. I'm Frank McGuire.
I'm Rich Herrera.
Peace.